Panther people, what's going on? We're going to be talking about Baker Mayfield, CMC. Is he going to stay healthy? And Laviska Shenault is a dog. What's going on? Watch your Panthers post. Phil Perkins. Thanks for joining. Yeah, things look a little different. For the last time, at least in 2022, I am on vacation. I'm wearing the Hawaiian shirt. I'm staring at a lake at either side of me right now. I'm at the cottage up north. If you're in North Carolina, I'm sure you guys have cottages or cabins or trailers. This is similar to that, but the work does not stop. This is the last week that I'm going one episode a week. Come next week, it's going to be 2 episodes a week, and I am honored to be wearing a tropical shirt like this because I'm heading to Southern California, in a way, through StreamYard, to talk to my guy, my Korean brother from another mother, or in Korean, Amma. It's James Koh from DirectTV, NFL anchor, analyst, just fantasy guru, part owner of Reception Perception. I'm sure you know all about that. Former NFL Network anchor. We break down everything about the Carolina Panthers, about Baker Mayfield. Is he going to be a success? Can CMC stay healthy? DJ Moore is the man. And Laviska Shenault, where does he play in this offense? And also the Panthers defense, how good can they be? And if you stick around, he'll let you know where you should be eating if you ever find yourself in Southern California, specifically when the Panthers take on the Los Angeles Rams this season. And of course, we talk about, how cool it is being Korean. And also, viewer note, you're going to see my picture isn't great. Again, up north, the Wi-Fi isn't awesome, so it might be a bit pixelated, but all that matters is James looks great. And if you're just listening to it, it doesn't matter anyways. Take a look. James Koh, first question about the Carolina Panthers. Most important, did Baker Mayfield tell Cynthia Freeland that he's going to fuck up the Browns? And if he did, why do people care so much? Why do people care so much?
It would fit his personality profile if he did go out there and really want to put it on the Browns, man. Like, that would make a lot of sense, just kind of given his background and history, man. So I don't doubt it. I mean, if that story's out there, again, why is that a big deal?
Yeah.
You don't think these guys playing this violent sport are saying way worse? Like, come on, dude. Like, that's just normal course of business right there.
100%. I think if Tom Brady were to say it, I think he'd have a quirky tweet about it. He'd own up to it. Because I think Baker even said it didn't happen like that. But I think if Tom Brady said it, it'd be on T-shirts, and that'd be selling like hotcakes right now. Baker just brought out some T-shirts today. I think if it just said, I'm going to fuck him up, I think people would just play crazy. Especially fans in Cleveland. Some fans may have ditched the Browns after that move.
I mean, Baker definitely got some fans. I think his time, look, it was an opportune time for him to actually leave Cleveland, to be honest with you, because I felt like, at that point he had gotten his run, it wasn't really working out. And there weren't too many excuses for him, I think, especially after seeing like Odell leave and find success in LA. I think people kind of realize like, oh, you know what? It is a quarterback, so there it is.
So if that's the case, what should Panther fans be thinking about Baker? Because, they always say change of scenery, still a young guy. The Panthers have had quite a couple failed experiments at quarterback, one still there in Sam Darnold. What should people realistically be expecting out of this guy in this division, which is a tad watered down, minus perhaps the Bucs?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And even the Bucs, I mean, you look at their offensive line, they've just been absolutely ravaged, right? So, no, I think there is some vulnerability there. Chris Godwin's not healthy either. So, no, I think the Bucs definitely are a worse team than last year. And the Saints, as we know, no Sean Payton, so they're going to be worse than last year. And no, you're right, man. The NFC South is certainly one that I think is going to be relatively wide open. Atlanta's in total rebuild mode. So no, I'm with you, man. Like, I totally see Carolina being able to sneak out some games here. And, if everything breaks right for them, they could look at a double-digit win season because their division is just so up in the air. I think the major question for me when we talk about Baker Mayfield is scheme fit. Is he going to be a better scheme fit for what Ben McAdoo does versus what Kevin Stefanski does? Because Stefanski really wants to run a lot of stuff under center. He's running obviously a lot of those stretch plays to the outside zone run plays all day long. And when you've got those running backs, it makes a lot of sense. But what is Ben McAdoo gonna run out there? I think we're gonna see from his time in New York, we're gonna see a lot of 11 personnel, so 3 wide. And is that a better fit for Baker Mayfield, who, in my opinion, I think he's less of a timing quarterback and more of a see it, throw it quarterback, right? So he's got to see something developing and then throw it. And then that's kind of more his deal. I don't think it's like a, okay, 5-step drop and then throw it, right? Like that's not his. I just don't think that's his MO. And even when he was doing really well in Cleveland, it was more of just a guy who just let it rip, you know? Right. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens here, but I think if they run a little bit more shotgun and run those 3 wide and just kind of sort of have more of a offensive scheme where he can't just kind of grip it and rip it, I think he'll be a lot better, man. You know what's crazy? I just feel like his confidence just got completely shattered trying to force himself into the scheme in Cleveland. They turned him into this weird. Don't you feel like they turned him into this weird, like, I don't know, like system guy? Like and
a
that's
robot quarterback type thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird to me. Like, I don't know, like when he was at his best, whether we're talking collegiately or professionally, it's just when he was able to kind of be a little bit more freestyle and just, again, grip it and rip it, man. So I don't know. It was weird. They tried to turn him into like this like weird check down Alex Smith type quarterback, and that's not who he is, dude. No. Like that is not who he is. So
not who he is off the field, not who he is on the field. He's not a check down guy on the field.
Yeah, man. Hopefully Carolina lets him cook a little bit, man.
Yeah, and he said that too. He said what made 2020 so great because that's what Panther fans turned to. Like, well, look at 2020. Look what happened. That was the pandemic year. New coach. He was learning via Zoom, which we know isn't the greatest thing if you're not that kind of learner. And so he basically said when he got to the field, he was gripping it and ripping it. He was just doing what felt good and he had fun. And so if they allow him to channel that, like you said, and maybe not be that Alex Smith type, no slight to Alex Smith, but let him be who he is because he's a charismatic guy off the field and allow him to be that the big show on the field. Then I think that as well there could be some success. I think they're going to make the playoffs, maybe as a wild card or so. And then after that, then it's up to Scott Fitter and company because you're assuming that Matt Rule will still be the head coach. What do you sign Baker? But we'll go 1 week at a time. We'll literally go week 1 because that's going to be a wild game.
Who do they got week 1, man? Talk to me here.
Browns.
Is it Cleveland? Oh, it's Cleveland. Okay, got you. No. That's going to be a super interesting game. And again, obviously we know Deshaun Watson's not going to be available for Cleveland. So no, I think it's going to be, I think Baker will have all the opportunity to write that revenge narrative, man, and like really put it on Cleveland for sure.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty easy 3 games stretch. I think it's the Browns, Giants, and someone else. I think they can start 3-0 again like they did last year. Whether that's fool's gold, we'll see. But talk about fool's gold. I feel like a fool. I bought this Christian McCaffrey jersey a couple of years ago, and I haven't really been able to put it on because he's not playing. Like as a fantasy guy, now that he's back, they haven't played him in the preseason. It looks like he's living his life a little bit more. Like he's not so regimented. He's got a girlfriend. He's traveling. Maybe he's a bit loose, easier on himself. Like, is he still an RB1 in fantasy? Should people still be looking at him as an RB1?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I think people are really confident in taking him with a top 3 pick. Some of the injuries that he's sustained, it's hard to say, because he's entering his prime. He's 26 years old, which is prime running back age. Okay. You want to be either 25 or 26. I think it was something like 9 of the top 20. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but it's something like this, like nearly 50% of the top 20 running backs last year were aged between 25 and 26. Okay. So he is certainly in that mix, and we know what he can do. He's just such an unbelievably talented player. I think the price is just a bit high. I'm not finding myself drafting CMC with a top 3 pick. That being said, because again, I mean, let's be realistic, man. Like the injuries are a concern, so it is.
And they're not catastrophic. They feel like little nicks here. It's like a hamstring. It's an ankle. It's like, and you're out for the season? Like,
I know. And to me, I think it's like, again, it's like you kind of sort of haven't managed risk. I think he's probably going to get hurt. He's not the biggest guy in the whole world either. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. I think you should walk in expecting some injuries. Now, depending on how many injuries you think he's going to sustain, again, that top 3 pick probably doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'm with that. But I do think he's an RB1, and you should absolutely draft him with a top 10 pick, 100%. And if you're chasing upside, yeah, okay. If you're like half glass full type of dude, for sure, a top 5 pick makes a lot of sense because you're like, man, this guy can absolutely take over, which I totally agree with.
And I'm seeing a lot on whether it's, on any of the networks. It seems like DJ Moore is finally getting some flowers for being so consistent despite the shitty quarterback play last couple of years. Are people just bored because of the offseason and need something to talk about? Or, what are your thoughts on DJ Moore in terms of fantasy-wise, like how people should be viewing him?
You know what's funny about DJ Moore? He's one of those players where the fantasy community has loved him a lot more than I think real life fans. DJ Moore for a few years now has, I think, performed at a pretty high level. And I think obviously he's been extremely hampered by bad quarterback play or average quarterback play. So, no, I think he's been pretty good. Is he a top 5 guy? No, of course not. But I do think from just a talent level, I think you could make a case and could make an argument that he's certainly a top 12 wide receiver in this league. And I think that would surprise a lot of people. So to me, I think he does certain things extremely well. I co-own this analytics website, and it's just all about wide receivers. It's called receptionperception.com.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and last year he saw a 70.5 success rate versus man, which is pretty good. It's not the best in the whole world. I would probably say it's above league average for sure. But I think what this guy does though is just he's able to kind of do a little bit of everything, and this is where he's able to succeed. So where he's not quite as successful, in my opinion, is just running those straight vertical routes. I think he's got kind of that lateral quickness to kind of get away from defenders closer to the line of scrimmage. So short and intermediate area is kind of where this guy thrives. And I'd love to see him being utilized a little bit more there.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's kind of like a running back out there. Kind of like, I believe just the way he runs after the catch as well, his yards after the catch. He kind of operates like a running back. I think that's his strength for sure. Yeah, the straight line burner speed, that's a Robbie Anderson if he's still on the team. And they just picked up Laviska Shenault out of which someone on my Twitter thought it was some European player who's playing out in Germany or something. I was like, nah, but he's good. Ben McAdoo said he's
Colorado.
Yeah, and how do you think he fits into all this? You think he could be kind of like a third running back? Because right now I don't have too much faith in Chuba Hubbard. His hands are like stone. I hate to say it, he's a fellow Canadian, but is he just kind of like a third running back, Shenault, with this team, or where do you see him fitting?
No, he look, in terms of the running back room, it's going to be CMC. And for those of you in fantasy, the CMC handcuff, I think, in this situation is probably Deontay Foreman. They didn't give him a huge contract, but they did bring him in, and I think they brought him in because they also did not like what they saw from Chuba. So look, I think Chuba will be the third running back on the depth chart. Foreman, who played in relief of Derrick Henry last year and played well, by the way, will be the backup, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So where does Laviska Shenault fit in? Well, I think his best role would probably be as a large slot. I think he's going to push Terrace Marshall, who I'm just disappointed in Terrace because the guy's got measurables for days, man. And like there's a lot of, you would just think, given his background playing at LSU, he played for Joe Brady and was effective there, and he's got measurables for days, man. Like he killed it at the combine. So a lot to get excited about. But again, I just wonder if his confidence got shook and shattered, and all of a sudden now he's fighting himself as well as defenders. So I think they bring in Laviska. I think they're pretty much done with Terrace Marshall. There was a lot of rumors about him getting cut. You would know more than me, but I think there were rumors about him getting cut. But he's stuck on with the team. So I think Laviska kind of fills that role. You've got DJ Moore running around doing different things. Again, Robbie Anderson, more that vertical. If not vertical, they kind of, and I think this is smart, they kind of run them on a lot of over routes, you know what I'm saying? And kind of stretch the defenses laterally. So that makes a lot of sense. And then in the slot, can Laviska Shenault kind of be a playmaker, a stretch slot guy where He's playing, if you follow Arizona football, like he plays kind of like he could play, I think, that Christian Kirk role where he's in the slot and then runs those seam routes, and then stretches those defenses. Because I think from a tight end perspective, you guys don't Carolina doesn't really
don't
have
have a
a
number
guy
one guy
like
really.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's Steven Sullivan, who they're kind of take a flyer on. He's a converted player. And then you got Tommy Tremble, who I thought showed a lot of promise his rookie year. And normally you
Me
don't see a
too.
lot of rookie tight ends develop that. I'm not saying he developed quickly, but he showed some signs his rookie year, which I didn't expect. So there's hopes there. But yeah, there's no clear cut number one guy that I think defenders have to chime in on for sure.
Yeah, and again, you just want to be able to test that middle, because they're running. First of all, so many teams right now are running that cover two, and one of the ways to beat that is obviously just running a guy right down the middle of the pipe. So, so hopefully, Laviska can find a little success there. By the way, like I watched a lot of Laviska Shenault games in college. I'm a Pac-12 honk, and he played at Colorado, and like the dude, man, I'm telling you. In college, this guy was damn near unstoppable. He was in a really awful situation there in Jacksonville. So talk about another guy who could be like a rebuild. Like I would love to see Laviska basically rebuild his confidence, rebuild his game in Carolina and do some things, because I know the talent is there, man. Like nobody can talk me off of that. Like the talent is there. This guy is good. He didn't show it in Jacksonville, but that being said, Jacksonville was an absolute dumpster fire.
Absolutely. It seems like that's where Jacksonville Jaguars go to rehab themselves. They kind of get crazy in Florida. Jacksonville's kind of a, that weird southern town, and then they get a little outside of their body, and then kind of like CJ Henderson. They go to Charlotte, which is a bit more quiet. They got nice breweries. They got the electric scooters. They chill a little bit out there. They're kind of hipsters, and you just kind of rehab, kind of like CJ Henderson. Maybe Shenault gets the same kind of revamp. Speaking of CJ Henderson on the defense, they're good. We know the defense is good. How good could Brian Burns actually be now that Hassan Reddick is gone?
I mean, Brian Burns should be widely considered one of the top, defensive ends in the NFL, if he's not already. Again, I know he's not a household name, but it's just because Carolina hasn't, necessarily been the greatest team, So, but if he was on a more high-profile team, I mean, people would be ranting and raving about Brian Burns. This guy's, dude, come on, man. He's a special player, too. Do you know what I mean? I'm not telling Carolina fans anything they don't know, man. This is a special, special player, and honestly, he should be a household name, but he just isn't. But he is truly one of the best defensive ends, in my opinion, in the NFL. And you're right. Look, if they're healthy, if JC Horn is back and doing the things that he was doing to start last year, this is an interesting defense, man. Like you've got Brian Burns, you've got Shaq Thompson, you've got Jeremy Chin running around, just chasing the football. You know what I mean? And JC Horn is that perfect. Like I thought that was the perfect draft pick, man. And like Carolina 2 seasons ago couldn't stop a freaking nosebleed. You know what I'm saying? But you add JC Horn into the mix, and all of a sudden, all of those pieces like congealed, and that defense was nasty to start the season last year. Then JC Horn goes down, and then all of a sudden the Panthers defense again just kind of crumbles, So they definitely need help at corner. And if JC Horn and CJ Henderson, and again, CJ Henderson has all that draft pedigree, if he can like live up to that a little bit and be like a number 2 cornerback, not even a number 1, can it be a number 2 corner?
Yep.
Oh my God, this defense is looking real nice. So again, I would say this, man, the defense could be really, really great, but the difference between great teams and just kind of mediocre teams is depth. And I just wonder if Carolina's got depth. I don't know that they do. I think they've got some stars. I think their frontline guys are great, but do they have depth to be able to kind of sustain and overcome injuries? Because injuries is just part of the game in the NFL.
Yeah, in that preseason game against Buffalo, I know it's a preseason game, but there was definitely a stark difference in quality between the first string defensive guy and the second string guys, and you had the Bills second, third string guys just running right through that. All right, so I know you're tight on time, you're a busy dude, and so the Panthers are heading out to LA, take on the Rams. You're in Los Angeles, right? You're in California.
I am. I'm out here in LA, man.
Yeah, are there spots that Panther fans should hit up in some spare time? Some taco joints, some Korean joints. Again, this is a Korean friendly blog
Uh,
here. It might be the only Korean based Carolina Panthers blog. Is there any places people should be heading out
there
to in SoCal?
Yo, I mean, look, if you are from Carolina and you want a real like down home, like LA experience, yeah, you got to go to K-Town. Okay,
Yep.
find yourself a Korean barbecue, find yourself one of these like underground karaoke joints where like okay,
Mm,
it's like and I'm sure some Panther fans, Carolina fans are gonna be like, oh, I've been karaoke. No, you have not been karaokeing until you've been karaokeing in K-Town. You get a room, there's a freaking like, giant glitter ball up top, and like you've got your own room, your own microphones, and the soju is just flowing, baby.
so just flowing.
So,
And you can tell
so
you feel
yeah.
like a boss drinking soju because it's not the strongest. So you finish a
No.
bottle, you're like,
Yeah,
that's
you're
amazing.
just throwing them down. But yeah, no, they've got, and again, they've got the Asian beers there, the little
Hmm.
Sapporo. Do you want a little Sapporo? Do you want a little height? Okay. You,
Hmm.
you throw that in with the soju, and two,
Oh
3
boy,
hours later, oh baby, we're three sheets. You know what I'm saying? So no,
exactly.
I would definitely recommend that. Some people say In-N-Out's a little overrated. I would
Mm.
strongly disagree. And yeah, man, those are yeah. And then, like you said, find you some taco joints, dude. King Taco here in LA, bro. Like that is where it's at. King Taco is the spot, boy. So no, you're right. There's certainly. I've always said this, dude. Like LA is known for a lot of things, but in my humble opinion, it is the
Mhm.
world's greatest food spot because
Mm.
we have like the largest like Korean population outside of Korea in LA. We've got the
Mhm.
one of the largest Chinese populations outside of mainland China. So the Chinese food here is amazing. Greek
Yeah.
food, any kind of food you want. You want Ethiopian food? Let's go. Anything
Mm.
you want, they've got here in LA, man.
Ethiopian food is good. I live in a very Ethiopian neighborhood. They have, I forget what this is called. It's raw beef. I haven't tried that yet, or maybe I did. I was a little, I had a couple, I was a couple sojus in, but it may have been raw. I'm not sure, but I remember being
Uh,
good. Yeah, so yeah, I've been to Los Angeles before. I think next time I'll hit you up. I actually have better
there you
idea
go.
where to go. I'm pissed I didn't go to AHA this year, but
Yeah,
COVID and children just kind of
yeah.
got in my way, but I'll be sure. I think it's in DC next year. Is it in DC next
DC,
year?
yeah, East Coast trip for you, pal.
All right, that I could do. I could drive that. That I can do.
There you go.
All right. All right, Dave's
Love it.
Code. Thanks so much. I will list all your accolades. You were such a pro. I don't know how you like we said, the Panthers aren't the most talked about team, but the fact that you know so much is, and I'm sure it's equal in every team. I don't know how you do it. It's absolutely wild.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's like I've just been bunkered in, man. Like I barely leave the house. It's just me watching game tape, pouring over depth charts, and trying to figure out what's going on, man. And I'm just barely getting by, but I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
That looks great. And I see you're shouting out the North Carolina crowd, the Nature Boy as well. You know how to do it. You know how to, you should be in marketing. What's going on? You know what to
Let's
do.
woo!
Woo!
That's what I'm
I think
talking
people can
about,
do it.
baby. Let's go.
I love it. All right, James. Thanks so much.
All right, man. Peace.